Yay, we're live. Hello,
Woo!
hello. Let's pray for good connection.
Yes,
You know,
just a
for
second.
the connection gods, please rain down on me because you always have decent connection. Hey guys, happy Monday. We are coming live. My name is Megan Gerke. Those of you that don't know my friend Tamika, but I just wanted to just introduce myself. If you don't know me, I am, Megan Gerke, and I help busy, overwhelmed mamas build a healthier lifestyle one habit at a time while learning to love themselves in the process.
And
Tamika?
hello, everyone. I'm Tamika from Wyoming, mom of two, former math teacher. And when Megan told me about the topic that we get to talk to you guys about today, I was like so excited. So I teach stay-at-home moms how to win in life one healthy habit at a time. And what we have for you today is going to be amazing. So as you hop on, say hello, tell us where you're watching from.
Yeah, so it's funny when we're sitting there talking about topics, and I'm just like, you know what, this is something that I kind of battle with in my own head, and I have these conversations with my kids. So I feel like if they're good teaching moments for our kids, they're good for us as adults, right? So it's like this whole thing in your head, like can't or won't. Like when you think about when you're looking at something, I can't do that. When you switch those words, and take from can't to won't and see how you feel about that. It makes a huge difference.
And
So
can't come so easy for people. They're like, "Oh, I can't do that." And they just like count themselves out so quickly. But when you do change the word, then it makes you think like it just makes you like take that second look. It makes you think a little bit. And I hate when my kids use the word can. Anytime, in fact, like we train them from when they were able to speak. We do not allow the can't word in our home. And if one of us accidentally slips and says it, then we're like, wait a minute, back up. What is that? Because we can do anything that we set our minds to. It's just, are we willing to or not?
I couldn't agree with that more. And I feel like the more too we want not just preach to our kids, but live it ourselves. I mean, I have to correct myself in front of my own kids, like being like, hey, well, hold on. Like I caught myself saying things like that. And I think it's so important that we teach them at a young age, because as adults, it's hard to, win the war up here. So the more we teach them on how to do that, and I'm not saying there's certain things I still won't do, like if it's gonna cause bodily harm or certain things. But my point is like when you have a situation, like for instance, you're like I'll speak on my own behalf. I can't go to the gym or whatever. I was talking myself out of it. I used to say that I can't do that, or I could never eat that way, or I could never just give up this. And it's like speaking into like my own health journey, and I'm like, can't or won't, because if I replace it with won't, and then all of a sudden I realize the things that I'm stopping myself from doing by saying I can't are actually things that are going to improve my health, my better overall being. So that doesn't sit well once I really think about it and I'm honest with myself that no, I'm just basically stonewalling myself from improving myself, whether it be mind, body, spirit, whatever.
And I know, like when my kids were younger, they're like, "Mom, I can't reach that." And I said, "Okay, well, it is true that you are not tall enough to reach that, but it's not that you can't. It's that you have to problem solve a little bit. It's that you got to be a little bit creative, you know?" And so instead of telling them what to do, I was like, "What can you do in order to be able to reach that?" And then they would think about it like, "Well, I could get a chair." And I'm like, "Okay, then get a chair." And I'm like, "Look, you can do it. You did do it. Like, good job." And like instilling those little things when they were younger, like it's just helped so much. And so now that they're older, and what I'm trying to think of like some instances. Like I said, we don't use this word in our home very often, but like we just had a soccer game I'm like, Paisley, I want you to run faster. She's like, I can't run faster. And I was like, yes, you can. We just got to work on, some things. And so her cleats were too big. She looked like she had like clown shoes on. So we got her like some small fitting cleats. And that helped. And then, talking about better running techniques, And so learning how to do things better. And just like you said, whether it's going to the gym, whether it's with your health. And I know, like a lot of people, as we get older, we kind of get set in our ways. And so, they're like, well, I can't fall asleep early, or like, I can't eat healthy, and I can't make it to the gym. But what can you do? Because the truth is there are always options.
Right. Well, and I feel like a lot of this stuff just all ties together in things we've talked about in the past too. It's like it's that whole thing of you feel what you focus on. So if you're focusing on not finding a solution and you can't do it, that's what you're going to continue to feel. Where you, like you said, if you look at it and go, I can do this, I probably have to figure some things out and problem solve, or just step outside my comfort zone, or all those things. And then all of a sudden you do that. And here's the other thing. There's a reward to that. You've just taken action. So that's going to make you feel freaking-tastic. It's legitimately, that's not just my opinion. That's a fact.
Yeah, it really is.
I mean, think about your daughter when she figured out how to get up high and get that, or maybe I don't remember, but point being, like, that's a success. Her being able to get up high to reach something. Like, success doesn't have to be, I made $1 million, or, I climbed the highest mountain. It can be literally little things like that. And that's what builds us. That's what grows us. And then you continue to change that mindset, and you continue to go forward to, start looking at everything saying, I can't, or I won't. Sorry, my dog is barking in the background. But another thing I always I've learned along the way is to never say never. I'm not saying, like, I was talking with a friend the other day, and it kind of goes hand in hand, and she's a runner. And I'm like, I am not a runner. And I was like, well, and I literally had to do the thing. I'm like, okay, let me rephrase that. At this point in my life, I'm more of a brisk walker, but I won't ever say never, because I don't know. I'm addicted to growth, feeling better. I don't know. Maybe down the road, that will be my next level. I don't know.
I don't think that people realize the limits they put on themselves with the words that they use, because our brain believes everything we tell it, right? And so if we're not consciously thinking about the words that are coming out of our mouth, like, we're shaping our future for the worse, because we just don't feel good in this moment, or it's just not something we can wrap our head around in this moment. And I know in our house, like we don't say cuss words at all. And when I hear the word can't, like, we've been saying it so many times on this, like, oh, it just like makes me like have the heebie-jeebies all over my body. And so if you can like kind of condition yourself, that's like, you're not going to use limiting words. And when you do that, you're going to, like you said, like, stop in the moment and rephrase and rethink, because why would you want to put limits on yourself when it comes to your health or the things that you want? Like, I always told myself, like, oh, I'm not a runner. Like, I'm not a runner. Why? Because, like, I saw what runners people did, and I was like, oh my gosh, they're crazy. But then there came a time in my life where I was like, I do want to try and run a half marathon. And, I was able to do that because of my mindset shift, the things I told myself. And then, with the internet today, you can find a way to become anything that you want to become. And I wasn't a runner, but then I learned, the right way to start practicing for those kinds of things. And then I really enjoyed it. I would get to listen to music. It would be like 30 to an hour to sometimes an hour and a half of just like me time in the road, and soaking in the sun and feeling the breeze. And it actually, like, it brought more than just running to my life. It brought peace, it brought endorphins, it brought a different kind of happiness, and then confidence, like you said.
I was just gonna say, and I mean, look at all that came from you doing that, and like I said, I don't know, someday I may take up running. I won't ever leave that door wide shut, like slam shut, because I'm like, you just don't know. You never know what's gonna come up and what's gonna be that next step. But I think it also takes, like you said, working on those limiting beliefs. If you're constantly like, oh, this is just, it is what it is, I'm supposed to feel this way, or oh, I'm not meant to do this, like, then you're going to feel that way, or you're not going to get that done. And I know it sounds easier said than done, but let me tell you, and I've talked about this before, and I'm pretty honest about it. I am a recovering negative Nelly. Like, legit. My husband used to call me negative Nelly sometimes, and I get so mad. And now I actually thank him. I'm like, you know what? You probably helped me like go, whoa, 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 whoa. You know, because I used to always jump to the negative things right away. Or, oh, I can't do that. I'd never be able to do that. Or we'd never do that. Like those words don't just come rolling on my mouth anymore, but it took a conscious effort that to change. You know, and like I said, if you don't want to do it for yourself, my goodness, I show up every day to do the best I can for my kids.
Right.
They deserve that example. You know, I want
And
them to live their best life.
We would never tell our kids that they couldn't do something or
Oh my
like,
gosh.
like we would
No.
never do that. And so we have to not do it to ourselves, and we need to lead by example. Kids see what we do more than what we tell them, right?
Right. Right. Well, I also think too, and something we talk about in our house is like, you know, you can have like an ultimate goal. You know, my kids are on the swim team and they've set some pretty high goals for themselves. And, you know, my thing is like, really the success is you accomplishing steps to get there. The goal is just an added bonus, like hitting that. And, you know, it doesn't have an end date. So why say, well, if I don't hit it by this time, I'll just stop, you know? And
Right.
also, I totally lost my train of thought where I was going with this whole point. But the thing is like if you shoot for the stars, and I could have this backwards or moon, I'm not sure, and you shoot for the stars and land on the moon, you're doing really well. You know what I'm saying? Like so many times maybe we have this, you know, certain goal and maybe we get close, we don't quite hit it. So how about be like, oh my gosh, I got this far. Oh my gosh, I had to keep going. I'm only this close to hitting it now. You know, but it's that whole shift of how you look at things and how you speak to yourself, and you have, like you said, the limiting beliefs.
Yeah.
You know.
I want to know, you guys who are watching live or catching the replay, what is something that either you told yourself that you can't do and then you have done, or something that you feel like you're not able to do in the moment? And then kind of going back to, so this kind of hit me, especially like last night, because on Sunday nights we do our team call. And I always hear people saying like, oh, like I can't be on because of this. And when we say like, instead of changing can't, like even to won't, or just like choose, like I'm choosing not to be on because of this. And I think that that's a powerful swap out word too, because it's like I'm choosing, you know, maybe family time over business, you know, and that's a choice that everybody gets to make. Or are you choosing to just sit in front of the TV, you know, over business? And when you say like, oh, I'm choosing not to be on, like, what are you choosing over that? Then it's like, okay, let me make sure that my priorities are in order, you know, instead of saying like, I can't eat healthy, I'm choosing to eat pizza. Okay, well, you know, like, could you choose to eat something different if that's the case? Maybe you don't want to eat like somebody else's definition of healthy, right? And so like I think we get to choose, and then sometimes it's like, well, you know, I'm choosing or like I made the choice that like, oh, I forgot to plug in my phone so my phone sang, or I forgot to bring headphones so I couldn't tune in or something like that. And so I think we just need to like take more ownership of the choices that we're making, and not just blame it on can't and then just let it be. You know, I just think that we are capable of so much more. And like you said, when we complete the little tasks, it builds up so much confidence that it makes you want to do better and better and better.
You'll become addicted to that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like I said, that's literally where I'm at in my life. I'm like, I don't want to run right now, but I might in the future, because it's like, what's the next step? You know, what's the next step? And it is true. And you know, sometimes it's just saying I can't because this is my priority. That's okay. I mean, sometimes there are boundaries. You know, you can't give everything to everything and to everybody. So and we're not saying that by you choosing, like, let's say you want to talk about our meetings on, you know, there are nights that I don't always get on, and because we do Sundays when my mom was here, we had family dinners. You know, we in our time difference, and for me it was a choice that while my mom is still in Arizona, I was going to have dinner with her, and if we weren't sitting at dinner, I was going to be on, but I had to put that time, you know, and I always found my ways to watch the replay. But my point is like, you got to be okay with that. Then I was okay with that because that was very important to me, but I also knew how to get that time in, you know?
Yeah. And I think like when you just don't use the word can't, when you use different words, it makes you think about it, and then you're prioritizing your priorities. And in that time and phase and
Right.
time in your life. And I think that is just so powerful because I just think we're so quick to just be like, well, can't do that, can't do that, can't do that. But we're not even like trying to problem solve, or we're not even like trying to like get better.
Well, and I think you hit it right on the button. It's priorities. That's where you need to be clear about what's a priority in life. You know, and when you are, then that's where you decide what comes in and what, you know, health for me is a priority.
Right.
It was that, or I was probably not going to be driving a car. I was not going to be an active mother. You know, I mean, I had some stuff going on. I mean, family time in a world that's crazy. Yesterday, we pretty much unplugged and we just literally were hung out at the house all day. And it felt so good to just enjoy the simple sunshine outside. And I had like tons of conversation with my husband. And it was just like, those are priorities for me. And I keep them that way, you know, and the more you figure out what your priorities are, what are important to you, you will align everything to that.
Yes.
So I think you're spot on about that.
I love it. Any other thoughts?
For me, I think one thing I would just want to elaborate on that you said is like, you guys, like everybody is worth so much more to not settle. And I think that's why you and I wanted to hop on here, is just to encourage people. Like, there are some things you might not do at the time, but just don't always sell yourself short. You don't think, oh, it is what it is. It's just what's meant for me.
Right.
It's not. You're meant for greatness. You're meant for whatever it is that if it's here, it's meant to be for you. So find a way and do it for yourself. You know, whatever that is, whatever that pertains to. You know, we don't get to tell you what your goals are. You know, how your life's supposed to look. Only you know that.
If you want us to, we will, though. We're pretty
I know. Yeah, DM us. We'll tell you.
No, but really, like, and then if you don't know where to go, like, ask somebody who's doing what you're doing already, and they'll help you. Like, success leaves clues. Successful people want to have other people be successful too. And so, yeah, we just wanted to come on here and just have you guys take the CAN' out of your vocabulary, out of your family's vocabulary, replace those with better words. Be careful about the words that you are saying, so that way you're not putting limitations on yourself without even knowing it, and just
Right.
make these small changes, and then you're going to have a better life.
I would say that's probably a great way to end this. I think that's perfectly said.
All right, you guys, thanks for hopping on. We'll see you later.
Yeah.